If you have multiple internet connections and you want to use one as a backup should the primary one go down, using pfSense, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. I'm not going to cover load balancing, I'll do that in a second video, so subscribe, hit that notifications icon to get notified about that video. But let's dive right in and do this.
Sheridan Computers, IT, Communications, Support.
This is a standard install of pfSense with the fact that we have two WAN interfaces. We have WAN 1, which has a subnet of 192.168.168, and then we have our WAN 2, which is on 192.168.192. And I've added the gateways to the dashboard just to make it easier, so we can see we've got WAN 1, which is DHCP assigned, so this address, with the gateway of 192.168.168.1. Then we've got our WAN 2, which is also DHCP assigned, so again this address here, and the gateway is 192.168.192.1. So before we go any further, I'd suggest that you make sure that both your internet connections are working and your gateways. I'm sure they are, and you've already done this, but it does no harm to double check. So if we head over to diagnostics and then down to ping, this gives us a ping utility within pfSense. So what we're going to do is, in the host name, I'm going to put in 9999, which is Quad9's DNS servers. You can use 8888 for Google or 1111 for Cloudflare. And then I'm going to set the source address to 11. So if I hit ping, we'll get a ping response. And as you can see, we've got the ping response from 192.168.168.100, which was our 1.1 because 1.2 is on 192.168.192. Now to check that 1.2 is working, all I'm going to do is change this source address over to 1.2. We'll ping it again. Now the only thing that'll change is, did you see that? The subnet changed, so we got the reply from 192.168.192.100 interface. So with that, we can be sure that both of our WAN interfaces are working. So now we've got both WAN interfaces working, and that's been confirmed. The next thing that we need to do is to configure the gateways. So if we head over to System, then select Routing, it brings up the gateway tabs. So Gateways is the default tab, and you can see that we've got WAN 1 DHCP. If you have this football globe thing, it says default gateway, so that's just showing the gateway that pfSense is currently using. Now we need it to switch over to this one if this goes down. Now by default you'll see the gateway is 192.168.168.1 for WAN 1, and then 192.168.192.1 for WAN 2. And by default the monitor IP address is the IP address of the gateway. Now this might not be ideal for you, so you probably want to change this to a routable address over the internet, because just because your internet's down, your gateway might still be online. So what we need to do is edit the gateway for WAN 1, and then we need to scroll down until we find this monitor IP section here, and in this field we're going to put in 8.8.8.8. Now that's Google's primary DNS. You can use any reachable address you want, but if we use Google's primary DNS server, and then we'll go ahead and we save that, and we need to do the same for our WAN 2 gateway, because by default the monitor IP is set to the gateway address. So I'll go and edit that, and the same again, scroll down to find the monitor IP field, but this time we're going to use 8.8.4.4. so this has to be unique. You can't use the same address that you used for your WAN 1 gateway. So once you've done that, apply the changes, double check your config. You probably should have done that before applying the changes. So the way this will work, for WAN 1 gateway, we've got a monitor IP of 8.8.8.8. As I said, that's Google's primary DNS. So what pfSense is going to attempt to do is ping that via this gateway. If it can't, then it's going to consider it as down, in which case we need it to switch over to this, which it won't do it just yet. We need to set up a gateway group. So if we select this tab here, gateway groups, and then we need to head over and select add to add a new gateway group. Now we need to give it a name, so I'm going to call it untrusted. Now the gateway priority, this is an important section. It's set to never, and we need to set these up. So tier 1 and tier 2 for WAN 1 and WAN 2. Now if we changed this to 2 and this to 1, what it basically means is the tier 1 has the highest priority and the tier 2 has the next priority, and then tier 3 and so on. So what that will do is attempt to send all traffic out of WAN 2, and if that's down, use WAN 1. So we obviously want it this way around, so we want to send traffic by default through WAN 1, and if for whatever reason it goes down, we'll use the next tier, which is the WAN 2 one. If we add this both as tier 1, it sets up load balancing. Now I'm not going to cover load balancing in this, I'll do a separate video for that. So we set this to tier 2, so if that's unavailable, we use this. Now this trigger level here, it says member down. We want to change this to packet loss or high latency, which is a more effective way of detecting if our interface is down, and then just give it a group. So we'll call it WAN Failover group, and then we can go ahead and save it. So once we've done that, we can see the summary. You've got the group name, we've got the gateways in the group, and we've got the priority, tier 1 being the highest priority, and then tier 2, tier 3 following that. So apply those changes. Once you've done that, we're nearly ready, but we need to head back into gateways. So here, and we have default IPv4 here, which is the default gateway for the system. So what we're going to do is, from this list, select the group that we've just created. So our gateway group that we've just created, we called it untrust, and we're going to select that. Then we're going to save those changes and apply them. So that's important, because if both your WAN interfaces have different public IP addresses and you try to access the second one, so WAN 2, it'll try to respond through whichever gateway this is set right. So if it's set as WAN 1, you're not going to get a response because obviously it's down. So we need to make sure that it's set to this gateway group, and what that will do is use any available gateway in this group. So if we go ahead, apply those changes, I'm pretty sure I just did that. Excuse me, sorry, it's getting late. Right, if we go into dashboard, so now looking at our gateways here, we can see the loss, which is 0%. Now, say this default gateway icon here will change and move to here. So I'm going to disable WAN 1, and we'll see that change over. I'm going to flick to pfSense to OpenSense here for a second, because my interfaces are being controlled by OpenSense on this. So just ignore the fact that I'm using OpenSense to disable the gateway, disable the interface, because it's just the same as pulling a cable. So ignore OpenSense here. This is not an OpenSense video. I am actually going to cover OpenSense. So now we've got, did I apply that? No. So apply that. We'll see this flip over in a second. So you can see the loss has gone up to 9%. So now we've got warning packet loss, and it will remove that gateway from the gateway group. So offline, we've got packet loss. Now you can see that the default gateway is switched over to our WAN 2 gateway, and that's failover. And we can just double check that. So our internet is fine. Now, so that's basically how you do the failover. And I'm covering them separately because you might want to use failover if you've got like a 4G dongle or something like that, or something that costs to have traffic. You might want to do this separately as opposed to load balancing. So I'll do the load balancing completely in another video. So what I'm going to do is go back into pfSense and I'm going to enable the interface. Save that and apply the changes. Which is done. Now if we head back into pfSense, you'll see this changing, this loss. When it comes down to an acceptable level, we should go back. Now it might take a bit for it to switch back. I don't know if sometimes it's not instant, sometimes it is. So you can see that the loss percentage is going down because the interface is available. Once it's sure it's stable, now it's gone yellow because it's just warning, so it's not actually down. Now it's online. So you can see the loss is 2%, and now you can see that the default gateway has switched over to WAN 1. That's basically it for configuring failover. Just to give you all your options, if we go into the firewall and rules, and then you go to your LAN, this default rule here for LAN, if you don't want all traffic to fail over, we can leave the default gateway to like 1 to its primary, so WAN 1, and then we can, if we click advanced in here, and scroll down, we've got the gateway, and we can set that to obviously WAN 1, so everyone uses that. We can set it to untrusted. So you can set, you don't need to change that if you want everything to fail over, but if you want only certain devices to fail over, then that's an option that you can use. So we'll just leave that on default, which is why I changed, and then apply those, which is why I changed the gateway under routing. So here, routing, it will just use this if we don't modify any rules. Let me switch this back over. So I hope that helps. As you can see, configuring WAN failover in pfSense is very easy to do. If you found this video useful, please hit that like button. It will allow others to find the video and help support the channel. If you'd consider subscribing, you might find some other videos that you like, and as always, hit the notification icon and you might receive notifications for any new videos that I do. But yeah, please like, subscribe, help support the channel, spread the word, and I'll see you in the next video.